My son Johnny was a very friendly, kind, upbeat, fun boy. He was so good-hearted and always wanted to help people. He loved having his paper out because that was going to give him the money to save for a dirt bike. We had my older daughter and her fiance to our home the night before for dinner. And Johnny said that he was going to get ready and go to bed because he wanted to be up early and get his paper route done. And then he said, I think I'm old enough to do the route myself. Because we always were with him when it was dark out there for Sunday morning. His dad always went with him. And I said, no. I said, the agreement was if you got to have a paper route, one of us would be with you on that early morning run because it's pitch dark out there and you're only 11 years old, or you're only 12 years old. And he said, but the other kids all go by themselves. And I said, that's because they're 16, some of them, or some of them do it with a brother. Well, then he said, okay, all right. So he gave everybody a hug and then he went upstairs. But when he was out on the route the next morning, he did not come in and wake up his dad. He went by himself. Probably because he wanted to prove something. I don't know. But he went through our yard, and the wagon that he was pulling, which he carried the Sunday papers in, it had a squeaky wheel. And a neighbor looked at the clock, and Johnny was going through his yard at 5:55. He came up the sidewalk on Ashworth Road, and partway up to, he only had 1 block to go, and the church on the corner is where they had the paper drop, and all the paper boys picked up their bundles there. A man pulled up alongside Johnny on the street, and he said, hey kid, where's such and such a street? And Johnny didn't stop to talk. The other boy, paper boy, saw him and said Johnny never stopped. He just kept walking. And the man made a U-turn in the middle of the street. And by the time Johnny got to the corner where his bundles of papers were, that man had pulled his car into right next to the curb. He opened up his passenger door and slid over and put his feet out on the curb. He kept asking the kids for directions. Johnny told Mike, the 16-year-old that was there folding his papers, that the man seemed weird. The man was slurring his words, like maybe a speech impediment or maybe he was drunk. I don't know. So Johnny at that point became very nervous, and he said, I'm scared. He said, I'm going home. And he had our little dog with him. So Johnny started down the street, leaving Mike alone at the corner. The man got back in his car. He slid back in, shut the door, passenger door, and then started the engine. He then reached up and flicked the dome light 3 times. And then he sped away. The morning that Johnny was kidnapped and we discovered that he was gone, I called the police right away. It took about 45 minutes for them to arrive to our house, and we only lived 10 blocks from the police department. And in the meantime, while I was waiting, I called the district manager for the newspaper and got the location and contact information for all of the paper boys that were at the corner that morning. And there was also one adult that came to the corner. It was an attorney that was picking up his son's papers. So he saw the man and the license plate as well. So I had all of that information, and I had already talked to the families of the boys that were there that morning. I heard all about the man, the car, what he did, turning around in the middle of the street, then chasing away, and then the man on foot following Johnny. Well, that spelled kidnapping to me. Finally, the police officer came. And we filled out a missing persons report. So I told him what the witnesses had told me. And he said, yeah, well, how many more times had your son run away? I said, my son never ran away, not once, not today either. Didn't you hear what I said? There's foul play here. And he said, I'll go check with the other families. Well, a while later, I get a call from one of the other mothers. And she said, that cop that came over here never even brought in a tablet, a notebook, or a piece of paper to write down anything my son told him that he saw that morning that led to your boy being taken. The witnesses all knew it was a kidnapping. The attorney knew. He tried to tell the police chief, and the police chief ruled that Johnny was a runaway. Therefore, they wouldn't look, because nobody looked for runaways back then. The kidnapping of Johnny Gosch, because of the particular timing, because of the issues with it, with the police and the FBI, and because they waited so long, led to Johnny's case not only changing legislation because I wrote it and got it passed, but secondly, people took another look at this crime and thought, oh my word, those poor people. What are they doing? They had to hire people to look for their son? Society changed totally in the fact that they were looking more for closure. Yeah, we always hear about these cases way over there where a boy or a girl are missing. But when it starts to happen in your neighborhoods that are just peaceful and the parents get that kind of reaction from law enforcement, it struck a nerve with other parents. They didn't want to be us. The anniversary, 40th anniversary of Johnny's kidnapping is coming up real soon, September 5th. What goes through my mind, and it is daily right now, is how far we've come as a nation as far as protecting children. However, human trafficking is still raging. It generates as much money every year as drug sales. Now that's saying something. If Johnny would possibly hear or see this interview, what I would say to him is, I love you so much, and I am so sorry that this happened in your life. But if you have survived this and have grown to be a man, I am doubly proud of you because you had the odds against you throughout all of this, and you did it. You did it. And I'm still here. I move around a little bit. I'm not, I still live in Des Moines, but you can find me, contact me, and let me know if you're okay. I love you, son.